Welcome to The Inside. I am Bable Jonathan. In this edition of the program, we're going to be analyzing the financial sanctions imposed on Russia as a result of its invasion of Ukraine and the financial sanctions imposed by Western nations. And of course, we'll look at the consequences on global trade of business and economies, the way out and options for African nations. We'll talk about the Asia Cameroon Chamber of Commerce, its missions, and how, and of course, what Cameroonians can benefit from that institution. We'll also talk about peace in this edition of The Inside. Meet our guest in some few seconds. Thank you for staying with us. Our guest today is Dr. Sendor. She's a trainer, keynote speaker, customer relationship expert, business consultant, personal development expert, content producer, international award-winning personal branding therapist, on-air personality, counselor, Asian, Africa, and Chamber of Commerce president for Cameroon Peace Ambassador. Dr. Sendor, welcome.
Thank you so much, Babila. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm
happy you're taking me on your show.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Right, so to begin with this edition of The Inside, we want to take a look at the sanctions imposed on Russia over an invasion of Ukraine, and the EU has announced further proposed sanctions on Russia, including banning Russian oil imports by the end of the year. And these are the latest in a series of financial measures by Western countries in response to the invasion of Ukraine, and they are designed to damage Russia's economy and penalize President Putin, high-ranking officials, and those who have benefited from his regime. And the planned sanctions, which are yet to be approved by EU member countries, include phasing out EU's imports of Russian crude oil in 6 months and refined products by the end of 2022, disconnecting Russia's largest bank, the Credit Bank of Moscow, and the Russian Agricultural Bank from the international payments system SWIFT, used to transport or transfer money across the borders. And among the sanctions already in place, Russia's central bank assets have been frozen to stop it using its $630 billion of foreign currency reserves. And the United States of America has banned Russia from making debt payment using the $600 million it holds in U.S. banks, making it harder for Russia to repay its international loans. And major Russian banks have been removed from the international financial messaging system SWIFT. The UK has excluded key Russian banks from the UK financial system, frozen the assets of all Russian banks, barred Russia from borrowing money, and placed limits on deposits Russians can make at UK banks. Now, Dr. Sendor, tell us, you are a business consultant. What's going to be the impact of all these financial sanctions imposed on Russia on global business, especially for African nations and African business people?
Opportunity. I will tell you, it's a big opportunity. If our eyes are bright enough, we see that when a superpower goes down, a new superpower is born. And I think Africa has to take this as a big opportunity. It has come to a place where before we were looking up to Russia, for example, for specific products. Now, how can Africa be a representation of such products? Because we are able. The only thing that has limited us was the decision table was too full. It has been occupied for so long a time. Now, the decisions that have been levied on top of Russia, which are mostly financial, and it's just, to me, I see every day like this is an opportunity now that Africans need to rise up. This is a void table, a void chair that you need to take your positions. Now, are you trained enough? If you're trained enough, equip yourself and be a solution provider. Be that person that you can provide the things Russia was providing before. So we can actually have a say on the decision table. This is an opportunity for Africa.
It's an opportunity for Africa, but when you look at it from the other side, people in Africa who want to do business with Russia, many African countries, including Cameroon, are importing a lot of things, wheat and fertilizers from Russia, and probably there could be some negative or adverse consequences of these financial sanctions and the exclusion of Russian banks from the SWIFT money transfer system around the world.
I will still tell you till tomorrow is an opportunity for us to take advantage of, because we're looking at farmers with fertilizer crisis. We are looking at us who like to eat puff in the morning and there's no flour, there's no wheat coming in with flour and all of that. Now, what can we use now to replace the products we used to come on with? It's not like we don't have the chemicals in Cameroon or in Africa to be able to produce the same fertilizers and other nutrients that we use for our plants and a lot more. We have this void space. Let us now not say we do not have the market. We have that market now. Replace Russia. If Africa has to come together and replace Russia as one, that would be a big opportunity for Africans.
A big opportunity for Africans.
Yes, you talked about fertilizers. Can't we produce fertilizers in Cameroon? Don't we have the facilities? Don't we have the raw materials that we could produce fertilizers?
The manpower?
Don't we have the manpower? Don't we have the intelligence? Don't we have the money? Don't we have people with a deep pocket in financing that could... I wonder the kind of projects we actually developing. Most of the projects we develop within our African level is at our nose level. We need to think global. The time has come for us to think outside the box. I know we have brothers and sisters who've been in diaspora, and they have learned what our big brothers out there know. Bring it home. Let us become that one superpower as Africa, sitting on the global table to take decisions that can favor us Africans. We cannot be an outsider so long a time. Belong. Don't be a stepchild. Become a child in the house.
And away from fertilizers, we have flour, and there's been some small-scale production of potatoes flour, cassava flour, banana or plantain flour, and so on.
Hear your words. Small scale. Because Africans have been prone to small minds. You don't think big, you don't create big, you don't even visualize big, you don't even dare big. Now, let's look at, I was talking to one of the delegates in charge of agriculture a couple of weeks ago. No, that was just like last week. We're talking about cassava production. And this is what he told me. Chinese people have been coming in and they just want to sign an MOU to confirm for them to process cassava. The ministry will say, no, they're just doing this because they know we are still at a small scale. How many investors have gone into agriculture and are ready to take 10,000 hectares of land and put just cassava? If we have 4 to 10 agronomists or even just entrepreneurs investing in such, we will be able to have the raw materials that we can process the quantity of flour needed just for Cameroon, talk less of outside Cameroon. Now that is where Russia and the other Western worlds have been enjoying. They don't think small, they think big, they think global. Africans think small. This is the opportunity for us to start thinking global. When you think global, you don't think your home. You don't think your community. You don't only think your country. You think continental. When you want to go into processing, you're not processing for Yaoundé. You're not processing for Cameroon. You're not processing for just to send it to maybe Japan or something. No. You're looking at how many people are found in what continent. If I want to ship in, I'm not looking at one country. I'm looking at a continent. If you start thinking like that, even when you're writing a project, you will think differently. This is Equinoxe. If not for probably social media, how would you be able to transmit internationally? People may not know you. That is the main limitation we have today. This is a void chair. This is a chair on the big table. Somebody needs to replace it. Who is going to replace it? Are we going to allow Russia to resurrect from the punches and come back and take his seat? Or will Africa come together and say we belong to this world and we can take decision as us, and we have the right, the audacity, and we have the capacity to be on the table to take international decision that favor Africa?
Now, what does it take to take hold of this opportunity and make maximum benefit from this opportunity which you're talking about, the sanctions imposed on Russia and the impact on its economy, its exports, and so on and so forth? It definitely starts with thinking big.
Exactly. I was just going to go back. Everybody is talking about our school's curriculum. African school's curriculum doesn't favor developmental thoughts. I didn't school outside Cameroon, but my mind is wide. Truth be told, we are too good at consuming. You consume without thinking on how it was produced. We fine-tune out. It's about time you pick a packet of biscuits, look at it and ask what kind of ingredients were fed in there to be able to give you this final product. Don't just eat and say, I love it. Ask how it was done and see how you can do it. Do we get that point? Because if you do not keep aside your comfort zone, keep aside the fact that there's a limitation before you, and focus on the things that you know that could bring a global earning to your continent, at the end of the day, you'll be at that beggar end. I will still always go back to this fact. Even if our school's curriculum tells you, go like this, go class 1 to university and then write a concours and pick a job. In all of that, we still have a 2% that think that I must not work for people. I could create jobs. Why must you be a job seeker all the time? Because we just want to be so comfortable. You don't want to go through stress. You want to commit suicide because the uncle that had promised you has not given you what he had promised you. Wait a minute. Do you know that those who have not really gone to school are the people that bring in the solutions to this world? I'm not talking about the Steve Jobs. That's not what I'm talking about. Because if you want to look at them, they say
providing solutions to the problems in the society.
In the society, yes, of course. Pertinent solutions are being brought by those who find themselves frustrated, rejected. They feel that this is not where they belong. And in the heart of that turbulence, they birth solutions. But do you know what kills us Africans? We don't allow ourselves to get to that level. The moment you have a little hitch or a little roadblock, you think of death. It doesn't have to be like that. You have to keep thinking, okay, if I cannot breathe today, there may be a next person who will not be able to breathe. What solution can I bring in? Africans don't think solution-oriented. They want to consume. They want somebody else to bring those solutions for them. It's about time we fine-tune our minds and start thinking solutions. If you don't think solutions, you cannot be on the decision table. You cannot be a policy maker.
Right. Thinking solution. Thinking how to solve problems in the society and not giving up at the least obstacle.
Yes.
That's quite remarkable there. Now, when we look at what you were saying earlier, it looks like mindset is a major obstacle that can hinder us Africans from even taking hold of this opportunity and making maximum profit.
Babila is a programming.
When you look at starting a cassava farm, for example, when we were young, some of us, we had cassava farms. As young as we were in primary school, secondary school, we had cassava farms. We had our little farms in the village and so on. But today, when you start telling a young man, go start a cassava farm, that's like hell on earth for many who are only thinking about white-collar job, thinking about offices, suits, tie, and all these things.
Candidly speaking, if you have to climb the success ladder, you must learn to dirty your hands. If you have to be at that place that you feel comfortable, you must learn how to wound your knees. In the course of climbing up, you get your nails dirty. There come sometimes you wear the dirty clothes. They celebrate white-collar jobs. Are they actually comfortable? They're not. Because human beings were created to procreate and to keep creating, innovating. Now, when you go sit under somebody's canopy, you're actually making sure that somebody else's vision becomes something. So it means you don't even have a vision in the first place. If you keep thinking the only place where I have to belong is picking up a job and going up and wait for a salary, who is that person that must give you a salary? Can't you be a salary provider too? It comes a time, and this is the time. No. This is that time. I want to say, we're talking about agriculture. We're talking about industries. We're talking about processing. We're talking about fine-tuning minds. It starts from you, knowing that there is a problem that you are the one to bring a solution to. If you keep thinking that somebody else has to bring it, then you will never think solution-oriented. You'll be waiting for that solution to come, and then you'll be a support. Because you want a salary. You don't want to go through the stress. You don't want to think that a landlord can throw your stuff outside the door. Africans have to rise up again. We were leaders before. We have to take that position again.
Now, individual and collective actions would only prosper in an enabling environment, and that is the role of policy. That is the role of the authorities, who need to create the enabling environment for those who are taking action, for those who are engaging in one activity or the other, in view of benefiting from this opportunity, making maximum benefit out of this opportunity. What should be done at the level of policy?
You bear with me that our policies are a little rigid. They don't encourage growth. They don't encourage petite to up. Probably if you're at a medium, it can take you a bit up, but we have really terrible policies, but we could fix it. We could find our feet in the middle of it all. I think that some of these policies are even being forced into us because we, at the local level, we are not even encouraging the government to give us the right policies. I think so. They try at every point in time to see that they bring policies that could favor the government, because the government cannot always remain as bankrupt as it is right now. If we, at the private sector, we make up our minds that, okay, these are the policy makers. Of course, they have taxes, they have policy you cannot do exchange, and this, they know, we know all of that. At your own private level, and you create communities to grow businesses, the government will come in to support you. That is why we have ministries in this country, and they have allocated funds to sponsor specific projects. But at the end of the day, they are just a small few that go forward to present those projects. Reason being that there is a fear in there. There's a question, something you were trying to comment there. Does it mean it's a matter of the mind? Of course, we were brought up as slaves. So that slave mentality has been in us forever. And we always feel like you're afraid to meet the boss. You're afraid to meet the boss. I need to meet somebody else to meet. But if you muster courage and you have a purpose for which you want to meet the boss will receive you. And of course, a solution will definitely come in. If you have a particular policy that has been brought forth, and this is the reason why you cannot make progress with your community. Every year, or even in the middle of the year, policies of course can be changed. If we have a particular project that can bring in substantial value and change in our community today, the policy makers will abide. But when the private sector already has built its own roadblock that no, the policy makers are the ones that are making us not to succeed, you will not even attempt to succeed in the first place. Meet them, explain this and explain that. This is me preparing for an expo outside Cameroon. I have met over how many ministers? I've met about 6 to 7 ministers, and each and every one of them is ready to go along with us.
All right, we're going to talk about that shortly. We'll take a look at what the newspapers reported this week.
Cameroon Insider. Unitary State at 50. Cameroonians celebrating pomp and fanfare. As reported by the Garden Post, huge crowd celebrates 20th May in Messager, Dungamantum division of the Northwest region. The paper says this shows proof of a win-win partnership with President Paul Biya's regime. The Median highlights President Paul Biya's presence at the May 20th Avenue on the occasion of 50th National Unity Day. Newswatch equally projects the 50th National Day celebration. The paper says SDF militants ignored Nijon Fundi's call as they rather boycott March past in party's fear. It goes further to say Nijon Fundi is accusing Honorable Jean-Michel Nincher of fueling infighting within the SDF party. Another edition of the Garden Post explains why Anglophone presidency will guarantee peace and stability during post-Biya era. The Garden Post equally quotes the chairman of the SDF party, Nijon Funti, who says Anglophone freedom fighters have turned to oppressors. He thinks the independence project will never be a reality. The Voice, Fire Quenches and Man Can Land, bye-bye King Solomon Anguafo III. The Scoop says, after quitting Fecafoot, Didier Banlock barred from leaving the country. The Herald Tribune reports, direct recruitment into public service. Broke government may stop recruitment for ENS and NSET students.
Thank you, Makule Fogwe, for the press review. Dr. Sendo, you are the Asian African Chamber of Commerce President for Cameroon. What's the mission of this institution?
Our mission is to create bilateral trade between African nations and Asia. And it must be at the level of us Africans being at 60, 70, and 30, 40. Before, MOUs were being signed without a critical look on the benefits on Africa. We have to fine-tune that. And we are not forgetting that we have our counterparts who are Asians, but we are considering the fact that they are already well developed. Now, Africa has to develop. And for us to develop, we need to learn from the master. We need to learn from those who have gone way ahead of us. And our principle is we have to collect as much knowledge and expertise as possible. That is our first objective, creating bilateral trade that favors Africa.
Right, so how can Cameroonians, Africans, benefit from the missions or the activity, the presence of the Asian African Chamber of Commerce?
For them to benefit, the first thing is recognizing that you are existing, because we cannot help anybody whom we don't even know. Come close to us. Our doors are very, very open. Come to us, present yourself, present your need. If you need a sponsor, you need a partner, you just want maybe financial sponsorship, if you just have an idea and you think that you need somebody to go along with you, we are here very open. That is a big support we want to give to people. And then another thing is making sure that we work on the policies that favor growth in business.
Working on the policies that favor growth in business. Now, you are the Cameroon president of the Asia Africa Chamber of Commerce.
AACC.
If somebody needed your services, your advice on how to go about coming in contact with this institution and benefiting from its services, how would the person go about this?
All right. Mindful that I'm just 2 months into my office. I'm just 2 months old into my office. I'm actually still putting together all the criteria for which people can get involved, and I'm making sure that I'm very flexible, because the first thing I am doing is looking at the other Chamber of Commerces and other influential business houses that harbor other businesses to see what are they doing that is right or what's not right, to see how we can fix it. Because one of the biggest cry for the smaller businesses is that the Chamber of Commerce and in fact the big houses in Cameroon don't favor them, don't even recognize them, or they don't even notice them, So what we're trying to do is we put down our own policies that invite them more, because we believe so strong that they are the people that can solve our major problems in Cameroon. So it makes a difference.
Earlier you were talking about an international event that you're preparing and reason why you had to meet some Cameroonian authorities. Tell us more about that.
Yes, we have the African Expo. Strangely enough, we're organizing an African Expo in Malaysia. The reason is because we have had so much happening back here. We bring investors back here, industry creators, machinery experts, and all of that. We bring all of them here. They come and see what we can do. But this time around, we thought it better. Let's take Africans to these people so that we can actually visit the fields. Let's visit these industries. Let's see how the thing is being done. We don't want to sit and imagine as they tell us about what they're doing. We want to visit them, talk with them, see what they're doing, have their challenges on hand, and why not get deals signed and see how we can get some partners come over for us to be an expedition back here.
Now, some business people who may be listening to you now would be asking the question, how did
they get to me?
How to get there?
How did they get there? This particular expo, everybody who knows where he or she is going is eligible. You can go there. You could be a service provider, you could be a product processor provider, you could be anybody who just wants to create connection, or you want to network with the international market. You are welcome to be with us. Now, if you want to reach out directly to me, for now, I think you could just DM me on Facebook. My name, Mofo Clementine Sender, on Facebook, and I'll respond to you immediately, because we're still structuring things in our chamber right now.
This is the road to Ekanjo Bajo, a village community of more than 2,000 people. The people have been suffering like this for decades. The government have abandoned the people of Ekanjo Bajo. You can see, transporting the crops to the village is a nightmare. This is a stretch of Bangan-Guti Road that was traced in 2005. Since then, government have done nothing to amend this route. It's really horrible. Look at the suffering in the 21st century, what the people are going through.
My brother, just like you really said, government has really abandoned this stretch of road. We cannot imagine that we are living in the 21st century and in the so-called government of the New Deal.
We are from the northwest region. We are from the south, where the strike. So we are here. It's our mother, our parents are the ones struggling to pay our school fees. So it is not easy for us. Somebody like me, my mother, any of my parents that are in the farm now struggling just for my school fees.
The majority of the students we have are internally displaced. They are here in Lum schooling, but their parents are very far. And some of them are saying that there is no possibility for them to even get to where their parents are, because even the transport they don't even have. So talk less of paying of school fees. So we just pray that we should end the year, but we are not ending the year with a smiling face, because the income we have had from the parents in terms of school fees is far below satisfaction.
Today is Open Business Day in Mary Bilingual Comprehensive High School. We could do many things, but things are too expensive in the market.
We budgeted, money will reach the market, the money was insufficient because all prices of the products have been increased. For example, a liter oil that was being sold for 1,300 francs is being sold now for 1,500 francs. A kilogram of meat that was being sold for 2,500 francs is being sold for 3,200 francs.
We have difficulties also on machines to use because of lack of electricity. Sometimes when we come to school, there will be no light for the students to work.
You can even skate from Makepe Mesoke to Bipanda. You have not even sold 500 because you don't have cash. A lot of difficulty. At the time when I want to take a bike, I have difficulty because the bike people will always ask, do you have money?
So when you talk of microeconomy, we are talking of these people selling the street, people, the taxis, the bike riders, and so on. At time, maybe you are in the haste, you want to move to a particular destination because you spend 30 minutes in the road, in the street, simply because no taxi will take you, and they will be asking you, do you have change? Do you have change? If you do not have, then they will not take you. At time, you can move a kilometer in the market before having a little good, simply because maybe you have 1,000 francs and then you are looking for something of 200 francs, and there is no coin, to give you change. With the development of alternative payment like electronic money, the central bank has reduced, the quantity of fiduciary money available in the economy. And this is also because people got to understand producing money is very expensive. Banknotes and coins and so on is very expensive, producing money. You got some foreigners who are trying to export this money through this gambling and things like that. They're trying to siphon some coins, and then we have seen a lot of coins in China being exported from Cameroon, not only from Cameroon, but from Central African market. Actually, I think we got to focus on the development of alternative payment to avoid problem with the coins and banknotes, which are becoming more and more scarce in the market.
you are a peace ambassador, and in your country, Cameroon, peace is threatened in the northwest and southwest regions of the country. The people are suffering. The people are living in uncertainty. And not just there, in the far north region, terrorists are also threatening. In the east region, rebels from the Central African Republic, and other socio-political problems in the country. What will you propose as solution to all of these problems?
I will want to relate back to the home. Before there is a divorce in the home, there has been existing a problem that has been looked upon like nothing. If I wake up every day and I'm complaining as a child to my parents every day, I'm like, Daddy, we need to talk. Mommy, we need to talk. And Daddy does not listen. Mommy does not listen. One day, definitely, I want to lock up the door and irritate Mommy and Daddy. When they're about to go outside, they can get angry. Either flog me so that we can finally talk in one way or the other, so that they can hear me out, even if they don't give me a solution. Now, on the part of the child who is complaining, if the child has substantial reason why he or she has to be happy, which is creativity and innovative thoughts, they will hardly really complain. Now, there will be a flexible dialogue in that home. Let's come back to our country. Of course, I'm from the Northwest. I was resident in the Southwest. I left because of the political unrest. I stand in no point to favor anybody, neither the government nor the people fighting, because I don't even know who is fighting who. I can't tell you anything. Now, I will have to say, if our young people had what they could do with the energy that is inside of them, they wouldn't be fighting up and down. And if they actually had a platform, they could be able to express themselves without fear. To be another opportunity. Now, besides being a peace ambassador, I encourage a lot of dialogue, and for us to understand that we are all human beings and we have emotions. And when those emotions are tempered with, first time, second time, once it gets to the apex, we want to fight back. So the most we could do right now in the heart of all of this turbulence, which there's no way we could even live in a country without some of these hitches, the best way we could do right now is to see that we begin to isolate people, especially youths, women and girls, and provide them with what they need. And what do they need? They are not jobs. What do they need? They want to think innovative and get active. They want to be active. Let's give them something that can get them very active. At the same time, listen to them as parents. If that is brought forward, it's not about calling for particular consortiums to talk to them. No, that's not what I'm looking at. I'm looking at the young boys and girls, the youths that are dangling up and down, confusing here and there. If you could sit them down and ask them, what do you need? And we start providing small, something could happen better. But at the same time, we should always remember that every one of us is a human being and we have emotions that when they're tempered with, we could spark. So if we could create an arena wherein we could constantly have opportunities to talk to our decision makers on a regular basis, it's going to help a lot.
All right. Dr. Sendomo for Clementine, trainer, keynote speaker, customer relationship expert, business consultant, personal development expert, content producer, international award-winning personal branding therapist, on-air personality, counselor, Asian, African Chamber of Commerce, president for Cameroon, and peace ambassador. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much. That was a long profile I got there. Yeah. That was so... Thank you.
That's just a portion of it.
Oh, yeah, that's a bit of it. I spent my whole life trying to know people, trying to help people know themselves and knowing me. So it took me this far. It's not like I fell off from some rich, extravagant home. I came from nowhere. But I told me I was born where I may not have liked, but I will not stay where I don't like. I have to become what I want. And however I get wounded or my hands get dirty, I'll make sure I get to where I want to get to, and I wash my hands and I get my wounds healed. And I smile.
And I will not go without asking you, how did you manage to get all of this? You know, when I look at all of these It wasn't certainly an easy drive.
It wasn't.
A smooth
it has
drive.
never been easy. It has been a long story, but with a focused mind. You didn't mention there that I am a single mom of 3. And being a single mom, being a business consultant, being an international personality, being all of this, it took me intentionality. That's my watchword. Be intentional with whatever you want to do. Be intentional even in your thought pattern. In the way you vibrate with people, your vibrational frequency should be able to connect with the people you have in your network. I didn't come from a great network, but I decided to shift from the network that was not comfortable enough to go to the network that can help me grow slowly and surely. It didn't take me yesterday. It took me a lifetime to climb this ladder, but I'm not there yet. I'm still climbing.
One of my guests said, if you did not come from a rich family should come out of you. If you did not come from a great network, a great network should come out of you. Ladies and gentlemen, this is where we draw the curtains on this edition of The Inside. Thank you for staying with us.